Welcome to today's episode of Big Blue Kickoff Live, presented by Cadillac, the official luxury vehicle of the New York Football Giants. My name is Madelyn Burke, alongside the Super Bowl champion, Jonathan Casillas. The phone number here is 201-939-4513, or you can find us on social media using hashtag GiantsChat. A reminder, an archive of this show and our entire podcast network is available on the Giants mobile app, podcast platforms everywhere, and at giants.com/podcast. It's Thursday, November 13th. We're coming at you live from the Giants podcast studio, presented by Hackensack Meridian Health. Keep getting better. JC, how you doing?
I'm fantastic. It's good to see you, Miss Burke.
Fantastic. It's good to see you too. I feel like we do the Giants hangout every week in our little boxes, but look at us in the flesh, in real life, in the studio. How fun is this?
Oh, this is awesome. I walked in today. I was like, hey, hey, it's Miss Burke.
I always surprise. Love this one. First of all, for those of you at home who don't know, this one has ever since you were playing here and I started covering this team, you've always called me Miss Burke, and it's so precious because it makes me feel like a substitute teacher a little bit.
You are no sub here,
but it's like the cool one, the one who rolls in the TV on the wheels.
Okay,
when you're like, oh, we got Miss Burke today.
Miss Burke coming in. Yo, what's up? We not doing no work.
I know. We're just having fun and good times and good vibes, and you know what? We need some good vibes around here. It's been a tricky week. Obviously, I know that on this program, the guys earlier in the week have well gotten into all of the news around the Giants land. So yes, we're acknowledging it. Big fan of here's your water. A big fan of head coach Brian Daboll and wishing him nothing but success in his next ventures. Mike Kafka, will do a great job in stepping into that role. And Tim Kelly, of course, elevated to the interim offensive coordinator. Looking forward to watching what this team puts onto the field on Sunday with Jameis Winston starting at quarterback.
That's where I was going to start.
Yeah.
That was a huge move, going from basically Russell, who's been the guy, and then Jackson Dart, he's been basically the reserve backup and has played in relief of Jackson Dart at times, and then making the move to Jameis Winston. That was a huge move by Kafka. And did you see?
Can I just tell you that it's been stuck in my head?
Oh my
Greatest
God.
city in the world. Like, so I want to make that my new ringtone.
He was so good, and that's the reason why you make the move to Jameis Winston, because he brings a different type of energy that I think that this team needs. This team needs a spark. It needs a guy that's going to execute with surgical precision. That's
going to call a play like he's telling you a secret.
Oh my gosh. It was electrifying in his presser, and I think with him at the helm, you expect a lot of fireworks.
Right.
You do expect that. And Russell Wilson has had his struggles this year, but he's so good for the locker room. Russell Wilson is. Jameis Winston, I can say the same thing about him.
Absolutely.
He's such a great locker room guy. And me and him got into it last week. He was calling me out about being on the Saints sideline and Saints versus Giants.
First of all.
Everybody's not too fond of me doing that, but I can't give back my Super Bowl ring.
Yeah, you don't have to give back your Super Bowl ring. You can celebrate that ring any week.
Any other week, I know.
Any week the Saints play other teams.
I know.
You're
but
having
I'm always
lunch.
Working.
You're having lunch in the Giants cafeteria. You're on the Giants shows. And the next thing you know, you're flipping the Saints coin.
Yeah, he came at me. He came at me hard. Rightfully
like
so.
Oh, it's like that?
But I had to defend myself, and I also said to him, Mr. Former Buccaneer like myself, Mr. Former Saint like myself, what are you going to do when you retire? What team are you going to retire with?
That's true, but it's like, the former Saint was not over on the Saints sideline flipping the coin this week. But whatever. I digress.
But in all fairness,
yes, you know what? You did win a Super Bowl.
But in all fairness,
I have a friend who has your name on a T-shirt.
Yeah, and I'm on a trophy and a banner too.
Yeah,
but
David Banner.
I did not wear any Saints gear. I was neutral color, white T-shirt. Mind you, I'm in Mrs. Benson's suite, the owner of the Saints. And
again, there's 16 other games.
I caught myself going for the Giants in the suite, like out loud.
See, we see where your heart is.
Of course. Like at the end of the day, I retired as a Giant. I'm a legend for a couple of teams because I won Super Bowls on other teams. But I do acknowledge, where my home is. My home is here in New York.
New Jersey. Same, potato, tomato. But we digress. I respect that Jameis gave you a little razzle for that too.
I appreciate it.
Listen, this is a thing. you understand this. You've been through this as a player. When there's a change like this in the middle of the season, it is destabilizing for a locker room in a lot of ways. And I think you need to find ways to reignite the joy of playing the game. And I do think Jameis is going to be so good for that in a way of, he's always been, he's the perfect kind of veteran to have in that locker room, because he's not, he has a lot of pride in his ability, but not from an ego place, not from I should be starting. Okay, how, and I think that he understands and really thrives in that role of just, I'm going to do my best wherever is asked of me. And also considering that he is on a 2-year deal and will be the backup quarterback next season behind Jackson Dart. There's a consistency and the continuity with Jameis Winston, whereas Russell Wilson, as incredible of a career as he has had, this is a 1-year flyer for him. So I think that this was an opportunity for the organization to say, all right, let's turn the page and move towards what we are building rather than what we are at right now.
And I think you said the right word, opportunity, right? He spoke about that in his presser, and it's also opportunity for Kafka, and of course, the number one topic right now is who is going to be the next, Giants head coach, right? The interim guy doesn't always get it, but he kind of is a shoo-in in terms of he has basically the first impression and the first right of refusal almost.
Yeah, first audition.
Definitely the first audition.
Yeah, because everyone else is going to be having a meeting and interview, but you're actually going out there and showing already. What you're capable of doing
he has a relationship with every single player on the roster, so big opportunity for him as well to get this life back into the New York Giants, and one thing that Jameis Winston said that really stuck with me, and I was talking when me and Jameis actually talked last week, I was actually talking to Amir Smith-Marset, a Jersey guy, undrafted guy, got a Super Bowl with the Chiefs, and I told him, he looked like he was a little bit, I would say, frustrated about, not being as active as he wanted to be, and Elijah Garcia as well. And, I'm an undrafted guy, and I made sure to tell them the same thing that Jameis said. You have to be grateful. Like, I know you're grateful, but you have to show it and act like it. Because everybody's grateful to be in the NFL, but sometimes you might not put it out there. You might not wear it out there. You might not show it how you're walking into the building, how you're handling practice, how you're handling the day-to-day. Because it is frustrating not playing. It is frustrating losing. But you should be grateful that you have an opportunity to do something that only very limited amount of people get to do in a lifetime.
Ever,
get to play in the NFL, and then I love Jameis' energy because he hit that.
I agree with that take too, and it's not. And I don't think you're saying grateful of like, well, you should just be happy to be here. No, but it's more of just understanding from the macro picture, because so often, in any regard of life, whether it's playing in the NFL or working at a job, you forget that once upon a time this was your dream to just get in the door.
For sure.
And it's like staying grounded in that energy of just like, okay, I am grateful, I am happy that I am here and I have accomplished this, and what can I do to be where my feet are and thrive in that position.
100%. And I use the 2 words again, being grateful for the opportunity. Just like when you wake up and you start understanding that people don't have it as good as the next person. And I'm talking about just the day-to-day life. Some people wake up, they can't see, they can't walk, or whatever it is. You have an opportunity to play for one of the greatest organizations in all of sports. Be grateful. Show it the way you practice, the way you come in the building, the way you are in meetings, and then that will translate over on Sundays. And I just feel like maybe collectively as a unit, as and I'm talking about the players, maybe they have kind of forgotten that a little bit or gotten away from it because it's been so rough. When you're losing constantly, it's kind of hard to be grateful when you got 2 wins and it's past the midpoint of the season.
Right. I agree, and I can understand that. And it's there's a lot of opportunities in a moment like this, in a shakeup like this, not just for the players but for the coaching staff, and not just for Mike Kafka. Also, Tim Kelly, Giants tight ends coach, is now elevated to the offensive coordinator. He spoke to the media earlier today. Thursdays is coordinator's days to speak, and it was his first kind of one of those media availabilities. And he talked about how, as far as he knows, he'll still be on the sideline as Kafka was. As the tight ends coach, he was also heavily invested more in the run game, and now he's going to be zooming out a bit more and taking opportunity of those roles. He has been an offensive coordinator before, so it's not like completely new territory for him, but it is another opportunity. And when you consider too the creativity that this offense underwent when Malik Neighbors went down, Cam Scatterbu went down, and what who did they rely on? The tight ends, a lot more 12 personnel, a lot of 13 personnel. And so that is going to be, watching the way the offense kind of maintains course, but how much does it evolve? And, Tim Kelly did talk about how the biggest changes are going to be more behind the scenes, procedurally, okay, who's talking, who's in charge of what meeting. But in terms of on the field, they are still the North Star is still the North Star.
I definitely think there's going to be some type of change and manipulation to the offense given the play style of the quarterback that's now taking the helm in Jameis Winston. Jameis Winston is not a running quarterback. He is a pocket quarterback who has mobility, and he will chuck that ball. Yeah. He will chuck the ball. So I think
it's going to be like watching Jameis Winston is going to be like somebody back there with a T-shirt cannon, just like, pew, 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 pew. And like, who knows? Like maybe he's aiming for the kids, but maybe every once in a while an adult just reaches in there. Is like, I want this heavily branded free XXL T-shirt. Yeah. You never know. So I think
aim for the blue shirts.
Aim for the blue shirts.
Aim for the blue shirts.
And prayers up. But no, we joke, but yeah, he's going to be sending it.
Yeah, he is. It'll be a little bit less of his legs in the pocket. I think he's always been a great maneuver, having great maneuverability in the pocket. Yeah. But he's never really been the runner. We've seen him get first downs over the years for the different teams that he's played for. But I think no design runs. I don't think a design run would come. I don't know how much RPO would be a part of his regimen as well. Last week, the Giants went to a lot of under center drop back play action situation with Dart. And Dart had his best game before he got knocked out the game. He had his best game. He was playing lights out before. And I think it definitely takes a hit. But with Jameis Winston, man, that the energy that he brings to this team, the energy that he's going to, influx into MetLife is going to be, I think, contagious.
Well, and that mentality and that mindset is contagious. When you walk into a room and you've got somebody who's just so excited to be there and is, it's raining Skittles every day. You're like, I'll have what he's having, let me get on board with this.
Now we have to have the defense to feed off of that as well.
Absolutely. And, defensive coordinator Shane Bowen, he started his media availability today with gratitude to Brian Dable, said he's enjoyed the time he's worked with him, acknowledged that, hey, you know what, a part of this falls on me. We got to do a better job of closing out games. And that was one of the first conversations he had with Mike Kafka as Kafka took over as interim head coach, is how do we kind of lock it down and close out these games. He also acknowledged, the incredible play of rookie Abdul Carter, but acknowledged that Carter has had several sacks that have been taken away because of penalties elsewhere on the field. And that for a young player is a little bit not deflating, but frustrating, because he's like, I'm doing my job, I'm executing. Why is it that somebody over there making a mistake is affecting my, my ability to contribute?
You had Dexter get one too last week.
Last week, Dexter and Abdul did. Both of them had their
play, I believe, right?
Right, practically in the same penalty. But that's the hard thing too, is the discipline on all sides of the ball, but especially, in that regard.
Well, the Giants have to get back and playing complementary football. The 2 wins that the Giants had this year, you saw a complementary football, offense, defense, and special teams. And I think all 3 of the units have been up and down. Last week was a collective effort to fail last week, right? The offense started out hot.
Collective effort to fail. Is it? I mean, perfect phrasing, but ouch, that hurts.
But it was true. Having a 20-10 lead against a team that, had scored, how many points? 47 points the week before in Chicago, eliminating them to only 10 points through 3.5 quarters.
And a team that, you see their pass catchers couldn't catch a cold out there. Yeah. Like they had a case of the dropsies, and the Giants were able to take advantage of that until they weren't.
You got to finish.
Yeah.
I think that's a word that we used on the Hangouts, the other day. The Giants have to figure out a way how to finish. The Giants haven't figured out how to win, and part of winning is finishing, because it's not about how you start. You can be down 20-10 and you can come back and win. Chicago Bears, right? You could be down 19 in the fourth, come back and win. Broncos, they figured out ways to win.
Right.
People are talking crap about the Broncos. People are talking crap about the Bears. but they're finding ways to win.
Yeah, at the end of the season, they're not going to say, oh, yeah, the Bears won that game 24-20, but they were down until the fourth quarter. No, they're going to say they won the game and they had more points, and that's what happened.
The Giants have to figure out ways to win games, whether you're behind or whether you're, especially when you're leading.
And good teams figure out ways to win. And you talk about complementary football. It's offense, defense, and special teams. Big news on special teams this week. Graham Gano back on IR again this season, the second time this season. The kicking troubles for the Giants have continued.
And Jamie Gillum had a rough week last week.
Jamie Gillum, the punter, from the opening kickoff kind of to that last punt that was a 26-yard, whatever, shank. Younghoe Koo, the Jersey native, kicked last week.
He's from Jersey?
Yeah. Okay, look at that. Yeah.
Look him up.
Yeah, Younghoe Koo, the Jersey native and Zen enthusiast, is he was out there for the Giants last week. During warm-ups, he had a couple struggles. He missed a couple of his kicks in warm-ups. He was effective during the game, didn't miss anything in the game. But
I didn't know that.
Yeah. But he special teams coordinator Mike Gobriel talked about today that Koo went over to MetLife and practiced earlier this week at the stadium.
Well, good. Because the wind in MetLife is a lot different than this practice field at Quest.
It's very different. I know that it's like Quest and MetLife are about, a couple hundred yards away from each other. But the environment, maybe? I mean, you could see it from the parking lot, but the environment is so different because of the structure of the bowl.
Structure, yep. Mm-hmm.
And so for Koo to not only be proactive and do that, but take advantage of that opportunity, and for the team to facilitate that, that's great foresight of like, okay, here's the problem. How do we fix it? How do we make sure that you feel good and ready to do this in this environment? So that was an interesting element this week.
And I think not just understanding the air and the wind and the turf and all of that stuff that happens, the physical things, but it's the intangibles.
Turf, wind, and fire out there at MetLife.
Turf, wind, and fire. Giving them confidence, right? Because that's what kickers have. Like you to miss a kick, what you made thousands of times.
Yes.
Most of the time it comes down to nerves, it comes down to confidence, it comes down to actually having, the blinders on, not, seeing all of the stuff, the freezing, the kickers, stuff, not paying attention to none of that.
Well, it's like in basketball, when a basketball player is a shooter, right? Shoot, but then you go on a cold streak. If you get in a slump, what's the best way to break the slump? You just got to see the ball go through the net.
That's it.
And so it's like if you're in a slump, and Koo, part of the reason that he's no longer with Atlanta is he got in a little bit of a slump. And so he had a good outing last week, but you're right, like just getting that confidence built up again.
Yeah, where you're going to do it at.
Yeah.
Like, kicking it at the stadium, kicking it at practice is one thing. Just like practicing at practice is one thing. But getting under those bright lights, even though it's 1 p.m., won't be bright lights. It'll be a bright sun, hopefully get some sun.
Hopefully or the bright hail like we've got today. It's raining sideways out there today.
The weather is very bipolar here.
Yes.
Very bipolar.
Yes.
Very bipolar here.
Bipolar.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's it could be rainy one day, it could be 70 degrees. I think we got a 70-degree day, then it was like very cold.
I had an Uber driver educating me on the fact that we are now in a subtropical climate here because of climate change. And so he said that we will be getting more of these Florida-like or tropical-like storms where it's just like downpour for like a couple minutes and then stops. And it's like somebody flips a switch and then rain, no rain, rain, no rain.
He's
sideways.
Using the word tropical in November in New Jersey.
Yeah, I mean, it can be cold in the tropics, apparently. But anyways, subtropical climate, I looked it up, and apparently that is true.
Really?
Via many corroboration. So now we're subtropical. So now it's just going to be raining sideways out of the blue sometimes. Here we go. And on that, we've got the news, weather, and sports for you all today to start BBK. Giants fans, make sure you go and subscribe to the Giants Huddle podcast. It features long-form interviews with Giants players, coaches, and front office staff, past and present. Plus, hear from the best analysts covering Big Blue and the NFL. Search for the Giants Huddle and subscribe on your favorite podcast platform, or simply go to giants.com/podcasts. And don't forget, if you're on Apple Podcasts, leave a 5-star positive review for all of our Giants podcasts. Like, comment, subscribe. You know the deal. Let us know what you think. 201-939-4513 is the phone number. Let's go to the phone lines, starting with Giovanni in Jacksonville. Giovanni, welcome to the show. You're on Big Blue Kickoff Live with Casillas and Madelyn.
Hey, Madelyn, Jonathan, how you guys doing?
What's going on? How are you, sir?
How are you doing?
Doing good. Doing good. Not bad.
Ooh, are you faxing something?
Dial
Hello?
up?
Did we lose you, Giovanni?
That dial-up internet, man.
I think somebody's trying to log on to AOL. Giovanni, give us a call back if you can. But it seems like we might have lost you. All right. We might have. All right. 201-939-4513. While we try to see if Giovanni can get back, let's go to Kyle in New Hampshire. Kyle, welcome to Big Blue Kickoff Live. You're on with Jonathan and Madelyn.
How you guys doing?
Good. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Not bad, not bad. So I don't mean to beat a dead horse here. I'm a few weeks behind, but I think the Broncos game definitely holds some weight to what happened here, especially the way we were going into that game, the vibes we were feeling, and it was definitely feeling like if we won a couple games, we definitely wouldn't be where we are right here. So with that being said, I have lived in New England my whole life, so finding Giants fans is hard. So during the game, I'm on the phone with a good buddy of mine who's also a Giants fan, and I'm very happy I have a former player here to talk me through this because I am nowhere near knowing anything about coaching an NFL or anything like that. But I think this situation is going to come up more now that the kicking game has completely changed in the NFL. We get the pass interference call, the ball at the 1 with 28 seconds left. We have 1 timeout. The Broncos have 0. My buddy instantly asks me, what do you do the second we got the pass interference call? I go, dude, I'm taking a knee on the first play. I'm running the clock down to 15 seconds. I'm getting into I formation, and then I'm snapping it, running it again. If we score, great. If not, I'm taking a timeout with 12 seconds left, and I'm coming up with 2 plays, either a run play and then a throw play, or you throw it there in case you don't get it. You still have 7 seconds left to go with a 4th down play. With that, you're taking 1 play away from you, but you are guaranteeing the Broncos can't do anything with the ball. Is that a crazy thing to think of? Because every person I've talked to just thinks that is unethical, not unethical, but just not normal play calling. But in today's NFL, where you can kick it 60-plus yards and you can get the ball on the 40 with 1 wrong kick, I think that should be thought of maybe more often if you get the ball on the 1 with under a minute left.
We're talking about the Denver Broncos game at the end of the game?
I mean, beating a dead horse talking about Broncos is a pun right there that I was just biting my tongue, not trying to interrupt you with.
I can't remember that far
so
back. So much football I've watched since then. I'm not trying to dismiss. I just can't exactly remember
the exact plays
the exact plays and how it went down actually.
We got the pass interference. Obviously, that game was the meltdown at the end.
Yeah.
But we got the pass interference that gave us the ball on the 1 yard line with 28 seconds left. We had 1 timeout. The Broncos had 0. And the first play, we snuck it in with Dart and scored. Like, why don't you take a knee there, run the clock
I remember exactly what you're talking about. Yeah. Amani and I were doing the post-game show that day, too, and he kind of made a similar point to you, Kyle. Amani Toomer did. And my question to Amani, and I'll kind of raise this with you, too, Casillas, is like, when you're in that position, it's like, yes, you want to run the clock and score with less time. However, if there was a certainty that you knew that you could punch in a 1 yard play, don't you think teams would do it more often? It is hard to get in from the end zone. So I think if you're trying to score a touchdown, you take that touchdown where you can, especially from the 1. You know, maybe they run it with Dart and maybe they don't cross the plane and they have a couple more downs to try it. But if they,
what you're saying, if they less time left.
No, I understand that, but
all the time to dictate it.
But if you say you take a knee on first down, or maybe drain the clock on first down, and then you put yourself in a position where you're in 3rd down with 30 seconds left of the game, and now you have to score, and you don't cross the plane, and they make a goal line stand, then suddenly you're in a very different situation.
And the Giants were down 4 points.
And they were down 4 points. They needed a touchdown.
And then you can't sacrifice plays because you need a touchdown. You didn't need 3, which would have tied the game if they would have been only down 3.
And had they sacrificed the first 2 downs and then not been able to convert on
a penalty.
Or a penalty and backed them up or something like that, then people are saying, well, why didn't you take all 4 attempts to get into the end zone? So hindsight is 20/20 in that situation.
Yeah, and now that
the only thing.
Go ahead.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Go ahead.
No, the only point I will say that it kind of giving it to you, talking about it, is the penalty thing. Obviously, that would have made everyone look a lot less smarter than what they were. But my whole theory was just with who we had there with Scadaboo and Dart, I would have rather given us 3 plays without the Broncos having any, instead of scoring on the first. I guess that was my initial reaction. Like, it was one of those, okay, if we can't get it done in 3 plays from the 2-yard line, hats off to you. You deserve to beat us in that moment. But with the momentum and the fact that it's in Denver, kicking is going to be I don't want to say easier, but you're going to have chances to get those little bit longer kicks, I feel like. I just think in that game, that's what I thought in the moment. I just wanted to know.
Did you think that at the moment?
I'm glad Schumer said it as well.
Did you think that at the moment, or did you think that after the moment happened? Because hindsight is always 20/20. And as a defender, I would say your defense should make a stop.
Yeah. Defensive players get paid
33 points in the fourth quarter is absolutely absurd.
Yeah.
The reason why I called is because it's been on my brain that much. So I think, like, for example, that I know you don't remember the full game, but
I remember it now. I remember the situation now that you were talking about. Yeah. I had to go back and look at it.
But the interception dart through, coming up to the ball, my buddy's like, dude, I'm running it here. I'm like, no, I throw it. I like our chances. I throw it. And then obviously he threw the pick, and then looking back, I disagreed. I was like, okay, no, I see why you run it there. And the moment I agreed with the throw, looking back, I thought you should have ran it. But this play, everything about it, I think you should have killed the clock, and if they do get the ball back, they get it back with 15 seconds or less, not 25.
But again, Kyle, how many times have we seen not just the Giants, but teams across the league at the 1-yard line, including the Philadelphia Eagles, who push their way a yard at a time, being stopped at the 1-yard line. Yep. And so there's no guarantee that if the Giants go for it on that first down, which they did, that they're crossing that plane. And it's, I think they were just as surprised of, oh, wow, we got in there on first down. And as you said, you wanted them to take, to let the time go on that first down and give them 3 tries. Well, had they got in there on second down, they still would have given the Broncos plenty of time, you know?
Yeah.
So I think...
it would have, instead of 28 seconds, it would have been 15 if you don't get it on the first down, though. But it's just one of those, I think... Before that game, the most heartbreaking loss of the year for us was the Cowboys game with the way everything happened. So it was just one of those... I felt like we should have known not to give the ball back to them with as much time as we did, knowing that we're just a field goal away from either overtime or obviously losing the game because we didn't get the PAT. So it's just one of those. Again, I don't think I'm a coach, or I'm not saying I'm better than anyone or anything like that. It was just in the moment I thought of it, and it was just so different than what people would normally do in that situation. But I think there's a chance we may see something like that maybe happening with how the kicking game is changing, and the fact that it is, like you guys said, you could get a penalty, but also, like I said, you could mess up on the kickoff and they could get the ball at the 40.
Yeah.
So
no, I mean,
it is one of those. A lot of things are analytics now. So if you're going to do the numbers on it, that's where I was just like, I thought that was the best case scenario with everything considered. So I just wanted to get your guys' opinion.
It is a good hindsight moment and something good to kind of evaluate. And thank you so much for the call, Kyle. But it is one of those things, too, that you got to trust your defense.
That's it.
And it's similarly, the Giants were in a similar situation against Dallas as well. You leave some time on the clock. You got to score the points that you need to score when you have the opportunity, because touchdowns aren't a given, just because you're in that close range. How many times, like you mentioned, penalties or defensive stops or what have you, you're not guaranteed to get in the end zone. So you take those points when you get them, and you trust your defense to make a stop. The Giants took the points when they had the opportunity. They left, 28 seconds left on the clock, trusted their defense. The defense wasn't able to execute in a way that made that stop, and Denver came out with the win.
Yeah, hindsight's 20/20, and I've never been rely on the analytics type of guy. Football needs to be played by football players and smart coaches that have a knack for doing certain things in certain situations.
Yeah.
Right. And I think when you have an identity, and you can stand on business when it comes to that identity, then you do it.
Yeah.
What Kyle is talking about, for me, that's too analytical. Like, let's play some football.
Right,
let's make a stop.
Yeah.
Let's get a touchdown and then have a stop on defense.
Yeah, the math is mathing, but also you have to consider the human element and the execution and the personnel on the field that are asked to do it. Again, if you're saying, like, in theory, it would be great to have less time on the clock, but in theory, if you're putting your team in a position to have one shot to rabbit that touchdown and say, like, I got one opportunity, palms are sweaty, let's go. Like, do they get it? And if they don't,
Knees weak.
Yeah.
Arms wasn't ready.
Wasn't ready. You got vomit on your sweater. Mom's spaghetti over here because you couldn't get it done. So it's like you get the points when you get the points, and you trust your defense to do their job, because breaking news here on Big Blue Kickoff Live, defensive players get paid too. And
really?
So I think so often people look at the game from an offensive perspective of like, oh, we have to score this, we have to score that. But like, defense has a job to do, and defense can go out there and do it and make a stop is just as imperative as getting the points.
And just like you say, oh, the defense hasn't stopped them, right? The defense hasn't done this. Well, the offense wasn't really scoring fourth quarter touchdowns either, and they had 2 that game. Mm-hmm. You know, there comes a time where you rely on somebody to do their job. Yeah. You rely on the kicker to make his kick. You rely on the defense to make that stop. You rely on the offense to get it in the end zone. And that's what a real good team does.
Yeah.
Right? Yes, it's the analytics, and you got to do the smart thing and the thing that makes the most sense. But at the end of the day, you have to play football. Score points, make kicks, and make stops on defense. That's football.
That's football.
And you got to be better at that, New York Giants.
Yeah.
The New York Giants got to be better at football.
Do better.
Yeah. And the details, of course, they matter. Situational football matters probably the most when you talk about the details, being, doing the right thing at the right time. But all of the, should they have done this? Should they have done that? Okay, they didn't do it. Now what do you do after? Yeah. Right? Okay, let's talk about the play that he was talking about when the Giants threw the ball on third down and he ended up throwing an interception. You know why I'm not opposed to that? Because Jackson Dart's a guy. He's a guy. If he wasn't a guy, if he wasn't a good player that we can understand, he can make a play because he has the ball in his hands. Mm-hmm. If he wasn't that type of guy, I'd be like, why would you do that?
Right.
But he's a guy. He's a guy that you can say he can make this play. Yeah. So you rely on him.
Yeah.
And as a defense, you step up and say, our guy didn't get it. So now we have to go back and get him back the ball. Absolutely. That's how football works. Eli Manning was a guy for us. Yeah. He was the guy for us. Yeah. In 2016, Eli Manning was turnover happy that year. You know what? Every time he had a turnover, we stormed the field like Normandy. To get it back to who? To Eli.
Yeah, because it's like, all right, let's run it back. Let's see. I know you can do it again. You can do better.
That's it. Yeah. You have to match them. Again, the complementary football aspect of it, right? Yeah. If your offense has 3 turnovers, what are you going to do as a defense? Oh, man, they turn the ball over again? Or you're going to say, let's go create our own turnover. Yeah. Let's get the ball back to
Let's get our lick
guy.
Back. Yeah, right. Exactly.
That's it.
Exactly. Some roster news for you here. Giants have made some moves. Bringing back Isaiah Hodgins. Let's go. Wide receiver Isaiah Hodgins has been signed to the Giants 53 from the Steelers practice squad. Giants have also elevated linebacker Trace Ford from the practice squad. And a farewell to Lil Jordan Humphrey. The Broncos have signed Lil Jordan Humphrey to their active roster from the Giants practice squad. So wishing him the best of luck. It's Broncos take on the Chiefs this weekend. But yeah, Isaiah Hodgins making a return. Welcome back. Darius Slayton is now wearing your former number 18. So we'll see what Hodgins is going to wear.
And he was incredible in 2022.
He was.
Incredible.
He was very incredible.
No, he wasn't on the couch. He was on the Bills practice squad, if I'm not mistaken. Mm-hmm. So let's see, man. Let's see if he can, spark us in the receiving game. I think last week you saw a dynamic performance from Jackson Dart in the receiving game. Yeah. Slayton made one of the best catches I've ever seen on the football field. That
one-handed on the boundary, I think even Slayton was like, I'm sorry, what? How?
Yeah. So let's see.
Magnet hands.
Look, the Giants are in an interesting situation right now. Mm-hmm. First head coach fired during the season this year so far. Right there, is there other?
Oh, I thought you meant for the Giants. I was
no.
This is going to happen in a year. Yes, the first.
The Giants are now looking for their 5th head coach since Tom Coughlin, which is only 10 years ago. That is, those numbers aren't that great.
Not great.
But let's see if we can get this thing right this time.
So we'll see. We'll run it back. We'll do it again. Lather, rinse, repeat, and see how it all goes. But yeah, the Giants are the first. Usually, you see about 6 to 8 teams making a change at the head coach. Giants got started. And again, big fan of Brian Daboll as a person, as a colleague, and wishing him nothing but success in the next ventures. Giants fan, with another impactful draft and free agency class in the books, that means it's full steam ahead to the 2025 season. Take your fandom to the next level with a Giants season ticket membership. Catch all the action at MetLife Stadium with an exciting home schedule on the horizon. With a membership, you'll also stay connected to the club all year round, not just on game days, with exclusive member access and benefits. To learn more about a New York Giants season ticket membership, visit giants.com/tickets. 201-939-4513 is the phone number. Giovanni, we got Giovanni back. Let's see what Giovanni's got to say. Welcome back to the show. You're on with Casillas and Madelyn.
Hey, guys. Sorry, I don't know what happened. But I don't know how much you heard either. I'm sure I probably just cut out in the very beginning of it.
Yeah, all we heard was, hey, guys, and then fax machine sounds. So I was like, who still sends faxes?
Right. Yeah. So I just want to ask you guys what you guys think about Kafka's opportunity. I know it's bittersweet with Dable going, but I think as Giants fans, we have a lot to look forward to. Like, the way I see it, it's kind of a win-win with how the media is kind of, blowing everything out of proportion, which you never want to fire a head coach mid-season. However, there's some good things that can come of it. If Kafka utilizes his opportunity and he has 7 games to show what he's capable of from turning this team around, I think Giants fans have a lot to look forward to with that, especially if he's a final candidate for us. And it's going to be very crucial for Dart's development with continuity. So I think that's very important. Also, kind of curious what you guys think about the head coaching candidates that are available. I know it's like way too early, but just kind of like looking into what you guys think about the candidates that are available or potentially in the future. Kind of get your insight on that.
Yeah, I think it might be soon to pontificate, or I don't even know, like tinker with who might be available as a head coach, because we're about 2 months away from making that choice.
Yeah.
But what I will say about Mike Kafka is, as a former player at a high level, he commands a lot of respect. I know the players like him. He knows the game. I want to give credit to a Twitter account, Roger Sherman, who's been regularly tweeting out Mike Kafka's Outback Bowl stat line when he was the quarterback of Northwestern. He went 47 of 78, 532 passing yards, 4 touchdowns.
Yeah, that sounds about right for Northwestern.
But it's like,
I played against Kafka in college.
You did?
Yeah.
Oh my God, how did I not know this?
Yeah. They beat us in Northwestern. They scored like 50 points on us, again with the 50 points. Again with the 50 points.
The amount of times that you and I have had conversations about your defense giving up 50 points on multiple teams. At Wisconsin, with the Giants, with the Saints. He's like, oh yeah, this game. Yeah, we gave him 50 points. Somehow
he might have not been a quarterback. I think it might have been Brett Bazinet, but whatever, man. I don't know why I brought it up too.
Listen, you're building a brand here.
I mean, 52. That's a brand. 52 points.
You're like
So what I want from a head coach is the unheralded ability to lead men.
Yeah.
Right. I think that's kind of where Daboll fell short. And the reason why I say that, because I don't think he maximized the potential of this roster.
Right.
I think that's what we've seen from the Giants. Because when you go man-to-man on the Giants, I think the Giants can match up pretty much against anybody. I mean, of course, they have a rash of injuries, but you look at San Francisco and what they've got of their players, they're backups. And they're competitive in their division. They're competitive in the NFL. They're making a playoff push. I just don't think that Daboll, and I think that's probably the main reason why that they went a different direction, because he didn't maximize the potential from this roster, because it has a lot of potential here. And you have to get a guy that can figure out how to maximize potential. It's not about being smart. It's not about X's and O's. It's not about execution. For me, it's about leadership and delegation.
Leadership and delegation. And Mike Kafka's got a great opportunity. Giovanni, thank you so much for the call, and thanks for calling us back after that little hiccup too. It'll be a great 8-week stretch for Kafka, an 8-week audition to show what he's capable of.
Such a late bye week too.
I know, week 14 bye week, but the good thing is,
long away still.
Seriously, I don't know, but I would rather have a late bye week than an early one. Imagine the teams with like a week 4, week 5 bye week. You're like just getting into the motion of the season, and then you take a week off.
Well, you know what I was gonna say, because you got training camp, and training camp's 4 weeks, but training camp really doesn't even exist.
But you also have a break over Labor Day. So there's training camp, and then there's that little Labor Day kind of baby bye week there.
Yep.
And then the season starts.
I feel like I think
the sweet spot is like week 10, 11.
But you also have the Thursday games, which most teams have, right? Not every team has a Thursday game, but most teams have Thursday games.
And a Monday game too.
So I feel like if those can be, I mean, they never are coordinated correctly through the NFL, but if you can have a sweet spot of a Thursday game early in the season, and then maybe you can have a
Giants did.
week 10 or 11.
That's what happened with the Giants. The Giants had that Thursday game against the Eagles, and they had like a little baby.
Was it 5? Week 5?
6? And then they got the bye week 14.
But then they played the Eagles again, and then they gave up 276 rushing yards. So
why are you bringing up old stuff? Were you playing defense? Did they put up 50?
Wow.
Anyways, I digress. Speaking of playing defense, the Giants are going to have to against these Green Bay Packers, who have been on a bit of a sputter lately. They started the season 5-1-1, and we're out the gate looking strong. They've lost the last 2 games, and putting up less than 14 points in each of them, struggling to score offensively. So, when you look at the way the Packers have been playing recently, is it more the Packers struggling to score, or defensive, performances kind of stifling them?
To me, looking at their last 2 games.
That's who the Giants play on Sunday. We haven't really mentioned that much lately.
At all. Really talked about the weather and JC giving up 52 points. Yeah.
3 different times so far that we've uncovered. We will, I'm sure, find more.
No, we won't find any more. That's it. That's all I ever did. I think they kind of lost their identity as an offense a little bit. I look at Josh Jacobs' number, man. He only had 1 game where he even approached being close to 100 yards. He's averaging only 3.8, 3.9 yards a carry. And Jordan Love, I think he had his best game 3 weeks ago. In the last 2 weeks, he has his, I think, 2 worst games of the year, where he didn't produce a passing touchdown last week against the Eagles on Monday night. Yes, the Eagles have a really tough and nasty defense to go up against, but they don't look the same as they did earlier in the season, even against that Dallas game where they went into overtime. It was a shootout. The offense looked electric. I think Kraft being out has a lot to do with their trying to figure out what they're going to do next, because he was an integral part of their offense, and it kind of went through him a little bit in his playmaking abilities.
And when you look at the fact that Jordan Love is this season having a career high in completion percentage and passing touchdown to interception ratio and passer rating, but in the last 2 games, both losses where the Packers have scored fewer than 14 points, he's got no passing touchdowns. And the passing game is, I think in large part with losing Kraft, has kind of been depleted for Green Bay. Their defense has really kept them in these games. Micah Parsons and that defensive unit's keeping things going for the Packers. That's going to be a tough struggle, but it's also an interesting one for that defense to prepare for with new head coach, new quarterback. This Giants team, I mean, that's, you're kind of playing whack-a-mole. Like, who's going to be where? I don't know what we're looking for here.
Yeah, and the Packers number, I think it's about, looking at their record right now, if they can't score more than 13, they lose the game, which is, I mean, that makes a lot of sense. I thought I was going to have this reveal of, this magic number. No, if you can't score 13 points, you're not going to win any games, regardless of the Packers. But if their offense can't look the way it should look, then it's very difficult for them to win the game no matter what their defense does, because their defense last week held the Eagles to 10 points, and they lost.
Yeah.
And you think you hold a team to 10 points, you win the game. But their offense only scored 7. And I know I'm like, everybody knows that. But it's something about what your identity is, right?
Yeah.
And I think their identity was their offense. It wasn't their defense.
Yeah.
It was, you know what I mean? It wasn't their defense. It was their offense. And when their offense is sputtering and not scoring touchdowns, not being explosive, which because this team is very explosive at Watson and even Kraft being out now, and not in the run game, though.
No.
At all in the run game. And
which is so counterintuitive, because you think with it, you want to get your offense going, you got to establish the run, and then that opens up the pass game. But for the Packers, it's like you got to establish the pass.
And looking at how they went into the last couple weeks, it looks like they tried to establish a run early in games with Jordan Love not touching the ball as much. My question is how do they approach this week with the Giants team that's ranked bottom 3 in terms of their rush defense, but then the last couple of weeks for the Packers, they're starting to run the football early, didn't really work out for them.
Right.
So what do they do early in this game? Do they start with kind of high, powered attacking the defense down the field type of game to open up the run? Or they try to establish a run against a really suspect run defense in the New York Giants to get Jordan Love going with the play action game off of the run?
Yeah, and styles win fights, and it's kind of curious because the styles of both of these teams, I don't even know which version of them. We've seen so many iterations of both of these teams already this season, so it's kind of anybody's game on Sunday.
Yeah, 100%. And that's the thing about the Giants and what the Giants have done this year. Yeah, the record stinks.
Sure.
2-8.
But they've been in it. I mean, there's a bizarro world in which the Giants are 8-2.
Yeah.
Bizarro,
very bizarro.
Very bizarro. But also there is an alternate universe where they're 6-4.
Yeah.
And I think you look at some of these games where the amount of times the Giants had it within their grasp and then it just slipped through like sand through the fingertips that, they have the talent, they have the ability. Can they finish?
And we've spoke about this on Hangouts prior weeks, especially earlier in the season when there was a lot of the Giants look different, right? The Dart regime is here. He's 2-0 at home, and this team does look different. This team has scored points.
Yeah.
Last year, the Giants.
Remember, there was a 5-year stretch where the Giants couldn't get 20 points on the board,
right?
And now it's all right, that monkey's off the back, but now there's other things that are
there's a lot more other things that are plaguing the team, and just the ability to play football and good situational football, no matter what we're talking about, that's what the Giants have to focus on. Every single player has to come in to this room, to this building, and like I said before, having a grateful attitude, being grateful that you woke up, being grateful that you are a part of a great organization in the New York Football Giants, and giving it your all every single day and then showing on Sunday.
Right.
There's something that is not getting the most out of all of these guys, and of course everybody talked about the Banks and the Dexter Lawrence. The only reason he said that is because Dexter has showed us his greatness over the last few years.
Yeah.
Over the last several years, we've seen his greatness, and you're just not seeing the greatness from him. He's still a good player, yes, not as dominant as we've seen. And I think that's a call to not just Dexter, but to all players in the New York Giants who have showed us their competency, who have showed us their greatness, who have showed us their football playmaking ability.
Yeah.
You have to be able to show on a consistent basis.
Because it's talent is what gets you there and consistency is what keeps you there.
That's it.
And that's true for anything in life.
And that goes for the coaching as well, right? Dayball won his first year, 9-7-1, right? Consistently not winning for a couple of years gets people on the hot seat, right?
And again, there's so many elements to I don't want to say it's all his fault. There's so many pieces of ingredients that go into that. But the team wasn't able to execute in that way, and somebody's got to.
For me, it's all about the players. Yeah. It comes down to you looking at yourself in the mirror, and that's the great thing about me being part of this. Yeah. I never want to say, it's the coaches. I mean, it's collective effort to be 2-8 for sure, right? It's the players, the coaches, general manager. It's the situational stuff. It's everything to get to 2-8. One game here and there, you could blame this player, you could blame this side of the ball, but 2-8, that's a 10-game collective sample size.
It's just not working.
It's not working collectively. So the Giants felt like they had to make a move. Okay, guys, in the locker room, players. Yeah. Now that you understand that what the stakes are.
And it raises the stakes for everyone to say, okay, you know what? Nobody is just going to be complacent. If the head guy is out the door, I gotta raise my game because nothing is permanent. Nothing is to be taken for granted. Anybody can go in that position.
I said this the other day on Hangouts, and I stand on this because it was like a shocking thing that happened when I was playing football. Peyton Manning was the best player in the league. He was an MVP, and he got cut. That's my job security as an NFL player, and I used to tell people that. Yeah. My job security is the best player just got cut from his team. Yeah. Like a Super Bowl winner, an MVP, four-time MVP got cut.
And if it could happen to that guy.
That's the NFL. It is not for long. You have to produce. This team, no matter who is on the roster, you have to be able to produce. Absolutely. No matter the injuries, no matter the coaching, you have to be able to produce. So for me,
no excuse.
Calling out all the players collectively.
Just produce.
Play some football, guys.
Yeah, that's what we do on Sundays.
That you have an opportunity to be not just here for this great organization, but for the NFL in general.
Yeah, let's crank through. We got a couple more calls to get through, but the Giants official connected TV streaming app, Giants TV, brings original video content and game highlights on demand and direct to Big Blue fans. Giants TV is free on Apple TV, Roku, and Amazon Fire TV, and on the Giants mobile app. 201-939-4513. Let's get to the phone lines. Henry in Virginia. There we go. I can read. Henry, how's it going? Welcome to the show.
Thank you for accepting my call.
Thank you for calling and thank you for holding.
Hank.
Yeah, I've called a number of times before, so thank you very much for taking my call. Can you still hear me?
Yeah, of course.
Hear you.
Okay. 2 coaching trees for the New York Giants. Okay, have won about 17 championships, including Super Bowls. Okay, Parcells coaching tree that goes along with Kaufman and Parcells, Kaufman, Belichick, and then the previous coaching tree going way back into the early 60s and the 50s, where you had Landry, Lombardi, and I think it was Howard. But those 2 coaching trees have won something like 17 championships. And the key thing in both those coaching trees was the structure of the organization, the structure that the coaches had in place. And I remember very clearly it was Kaufman, where his attention to detail was so meticulous that if the meeting was scheduled for 2 o'clock, you had to be in the seat at 1:30 or something along that line.
It was 1:55, but
5 minutes.
We get your point.
5 minutes.
You gotta go. Okay.
No. I was saying it wasn't 1:30. It was 1:55. It was
one last thing.
Yeah.
Just one last thing. That with the ball, he had never been a head coach.
Dable.
Okay.
Yeah.
He had never been a head coach, and I think that was what his area of need was. He had never been a head coach, and it doesn't appear from what I'm hearing that the structure was ever there to maintain or to get to a higher level as far as performance is concerned. So I'll just leave it at that. Maybe y'all can comment on those things.
All right. Thanks for the call, Henry. Dable had never been a head coach, nor had Shermer or Judge or McAdoo prior, but nor has Sean McVay, and look how well that worked out. And, there's some guys that come in and they, their first time at the first crack at it, they works out great. And some guys, come in and they're like, all right, I got a lot to learn and I'm going to, do better next time. You don't know what you don't know. And there's more that goes into a head coaching position than just knowledge of the game of football. You can know the game quite well. Can you teach it? You can teach the game quite well. Can you navigate logistics and personalities and egos and structure and scheduling and coaching staffs and all the minutia and the clerical work on top of the football? It's like if you want to start a business, making T-shirts. Maybe you love making T-shirts, but you don't love taxes and bookkeeping and all the other stuff that comes with it. That's head coaching. You're not just making T-shirts.
But that's what I was saying earlier about leadership and delegation.
Yeah, exactly.
That's exactly what you hit on. I couldn't have said it better than you. But I hear his point, though. He does have a point. There is a lineage of successful coaches that follows through those coaching trees. And for me, those 2 points are hit. Yeah. They have definitely leadership abilities, their traits is very high in that. And if they're not the greatest offensive mind or defensive mind, they delegate those things.
I kind of think the coaching tree is given too much credit, Like, for example, we're broadcasters, right? Bob Papa is the voice of the New York Giants. Does that put me in the Bob Papa broadcast tree? Does that make me as good of a broadcaster as Bob Papa? Heck no. Heck no. You put me in to call a game, it is not going to be as good as Bob Papa. Just because I work with him and I'm around him and see what he is capable of doing, I'm not Bob Papa.
Yeah.
And so I think so often we put these coaching trees together and say, well, this guy worked with that guy and saw that guy on a daily basis, so must be just as good. No, I mean, maybe you pick up a couple tips here and there, but you're still your own person. You're still your own style of coach or broadcaster or what have you. And I think, yes, it's great to have somebody you respect who might vouch for that person. But that doesn't mean that, getting somebody in the tree of a Belichick or a whomever is going to be a carbon copy of that coach.
No, I agree. But then again, I play for 3 of the Parcells disciples.
Sure.
Won 2 Super Bowls.
Sure.
With 2 of them.
Yes, but also they happen to be Parcells disciples, but also in their own right. I mean, they weren't carbon copies of Parcells.
No.
Right?
No.
They were each individually good in their own way,
Yep.
but happened to also have come up. You go to the Juilliard School of Dance, you're going to be one of the best dancers in the world. You're not going to be exactly the same as everyone there, but it is a high standard. And so, yes, there is a standard to be set with, a coaching tree type of a situation.
And I think the point that you're making is they're trying to recreate those old trees.
Exactly.
Like
yeah.
the Sean McVay tree. It's
right.
like, what is that? What is that Sean McVay tree?
Why does everyone have a tree?
Why does everyone
Some people have a
tree?
bush.
Right. Some people just stand alone.
Yeah.
On their own. They're lone wolves.
Yeah.
It doesn't have
a root vegetable.
History doesn't have to repeat itself. It doesn't have to be another tree that has this wave throughout the NFL that has coached in every single division and conference. It doesn't have to follow that. But can't take away from the Bill Parcells tree.
Right. Listen, real ones know. I mean, I'm going to defer to you on that one, and I know that.
I got Peyton, Belichick, and Coughlin.
Yeah, yeah.
And those are literally one of the three of the greatest coaches of all time.
Absolutely, but I would argue that they're great because they're great coaches, not because they coached with Parcells, but they happen to because they coached with Parcells and maybe learned a few things from him, and maybe got a little nod of, hey, this is a guy that you should consider from a guy that has earned that respect. Then it works. But I think the baseline of, oh, well, this guy coached with that guy doesn't necessarily make him automatically an elite member of the tree, Yeah,
no, I got you. I think it just, and I'm just talking about this Parcells tree in particular. He had just a different way of handling things, and it's really not, you don't really see that anymore. Yeah. It's the old school style of coaching that people say, oh, that's the old school style. That's kind of the Bill Parcells way. That way is far gone.
Oh, yeah.
That is not the way that
Well, in the era of social media and NIL and players coming in with a whole different grasp of the game and the business and all that, I mean, you kind of have to evolve a little bit.
Oh no, I mean, football should evolve, with the times, and they are evolving. We're going to different countries and continents.
Yeah, got a Madrid game this weekend. Vamos. All right, one more call, 201-939-4513. We got Marcus in California on the line. Marcus, thanks for calling in. Thanks for holding. You're on Big Blue Kickoff Live.
Hey, how you guys doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm all right, man. I got my rant off on Don and Howard, so to spare you guys. Just a couple questions, I guess. JC, as far as defense, at the end of the game against the Bears last week, what was Abdul Carter doing on his knee for like 3 seconds after the snap and then popping up like, surprise, here I am? It was like the last drive or something. And then my other question is just, what do you guys see that would say that the team has made progress in the last 7 games that we're about to have to sit through? I mean, you already hit the point where I think we're scoring 6 more points a game this year than last year, which I thought was progress. And I do feel like the offense has started out with the lead every game that Jackson Dart has started. So I kind of put it on the defense that has if you go out there with the lead, you should never release it. So
I mean, it wouldn't be competitive games then.
Yeah, I mean, if somebody got a lead and never released it,
nobody would watch football or sports.
Right, sports would lose all.
I know, but
bets would be so easy to make.
You know what I mean? It's not like, 2 times they had a lead. How could the defense give it up? We literally were pitching a shutout in Denver, and it seems like as soon as the shutout was no longer viable, that it seems like this team just gave up for 4 weeks. They're like, oh, well, we almost shut out Denver for 48, 49 minutes, and then we're just going to give up 150 points. It just seems weird to me. So I just basically really all I really want to know is what you guys think would be progress for the next 7 weeks, and then why you think Abdul was on his knees like that. It just seems weird that a weird play call, and I think that we don't do try to do one thing great and then build off of that. I just feel like they get too cute right off the bat, and it just seems odd to me. So, but thanks for taking my call.
Of course. Thanks for calling, Marcus.
Yeah.
I think I know the play you're referring to with Abdul, and I think he was slow to get up, and then he was just like, all right, I'm here, I'm good, I'm ready to go.
Yeah.
I don't know that there was much to that.
But I mean, to be honest, 2-8, if you could win a couple of games, and I say a couple of games, it's just the Giants, and they're trending down, and you want that trend to go up. It doesn't mean that wins are coming,
right?
But you want to be able to finish games better, be better at situational football. Special teams need to be more consistent. Defense has to slow somebody down.
Yeah.
With the guys that they have to do a better job against the run and finish games. So for me, I would be, better if the games were more competitive at the end in terms of the Giants either pushing to win games from being down or holding on to leads late in games, because that's what we just haven't seen from the Giants.
Yeah, you want to see, I think when you're talking about, Marcus, what it looks like to improve, I think finishing games, finishing plays, finishing tackles, finishing all of it is a big point of emphasis around this building and around, this locker room.
Yep, that's it.
And finishing this show, because we're out of time. But that's a wrap for a Thursday Big Blue Kickoff Live with the Super Bowl champion, Jonathan Casillas. I'm Madelyn Burke. Thanks for tuning in. We have been coming to you live from the Giants podcast studio, presented by Hackensack Meridian Health. Keep getting better. Giants Big Blue Kickoff Live is presented by Cadillac, the official luxury vehicle of the New York Football Giants. You can see an archive of this show on Giants podcast platforms everywhere, giants.com/podcast. Giants Packers back at MetLife Sunday at 1 p.m. We'll be there. We'll be watching. It'll be a little chilly. Bring your sweaters, bring your galoshes. Don't forget your booties, because it's cold outside. All right, on that note, we leave you. Thanks for tuning in. Guys are back tomorrow with more Big Blue Kickoff Live.